Welcome to Stormwater Drainage Solutions. This is a very old install that we did, and I actually found the footage on a flash drive. So I figure why not go ahead and edit it and put it out there. So we're going to be catching this front downspout here and routing it into a main line and taking it to the front of the house. Now, back in the backyard holds a lot of water around where the screen porch door is, and that water makes its way in and on the pool deck. So we're going to be putting a sump pump station in here and a catch basin right in front of the doorway. That way we can catch all of the surface water, take it into our pump station, and then pump it out. That sump pump station is also going to collect the micro channel drain water that comes off of the pool deck. So let's go ahead and get started here. Remember to give 811 a call before you do any excavation. That way they can come out and mark any utility lines that may be in the area. For this install, we're going to be using a basic 22-gallon sump pump basin. Now, luckily, it's going to fit directly between these pool pump lines that are in the ground and the electrical conduit line that's also in the ground here. We got lucky on this that it was going to fit in between these two. Now, we actually don't use these basins anymore. We use 18-inch culvert pipe and 24-inch culvert pipe. We use that because it's more durable and we can also build chamber systems with it. So we're going to line this pit with a non-woven geotextile filter fabric at the bottom. And then once we have it lined with that, we're going to fill it with stone. This acts as a soil separator to keep the soil from migrating into the stone over time. The reason you want the stone at the bottom is because the basin is going to be perforated at the bottom to allow water to leach out once the rain event has ended and there's no more water going in filling that basin up for the pump to move out. We don't want stagnant water sitting in there for mosquitoes to breed in. So that's why we put a couple of holes at the bottom of the basin. And you also do not want the basin to float out because they are buoyant. And once the ground becomes saturated, they can float up. Now take a look at all these pool pump lines here. We're going to have to go under all of these with our 4-inch drain line. When you are excavating in residential yards, there's all sorts of obstacles in the ground. So you're going to need to be aware of your surroundings and what is going to be in the ground that you're going to have to work around. And some things you just cannot reroute. Like those pool pump lines, obviously we're not going to reroute those. So we're going to have to go under them. Now there's also a gas line on this house, but that goes out to the front here and just goes right into that propane tank. So that's not in our way. 811 said there was nothing on this side, that everything else was on the other side. And obviously the gas line did not need to be marked because it was up against the house. Now, as you can see, we have the tunnel underneath those pool pump lines, and we have the hole dug for our catch basin. We're just going to be using a standard 9x9 catch basin here to catch this surface water and take it into our sump pump basin. So this catch basin allows two things to happen. Obviously, it allows the water to get caught and taken into the basin. But the other thing that it does is it'll catch any debris like sediment, leaves, sticks, things like that that may get into it. And those will settle at the bottom of that basin instead of it making its way into the sump pump station. So this will help keep the sump pump basin a little bit cleaner, and it will have to be maintained less frequently by doing this. So this sump pump line is going to be taken out to the front of the house, and we are actually going to tie it into this downspout line here. So we're going to be using PVC for this job install, SDR 35 4-inch for the main line of that downspout. So on our sump pumps, we put a check valve. We're here in Florida, so we don't have to worry about freezes and thaws. If you're up north and you're building a sump pump station, you have to do it completely different compared to the way we do it down here in Florida. Because you experience freezes and thaws, using a check valve is not advised in those areas. If you would like to see videos on how to properly build a sump pump station with a discharge line in a northern climate, visit the French Drain Man's YouTube channel. He has plenty of videos on this that may be of help to you. The reason you do not want to use a check valve if you live in a northern climate is because the water in the discharge line can freeze solid, and then during a thaw, that water might not thaw out, but you'll have water setting off your sump pump and the pump will be trying to push it out, but it can't. That is why you don't want to use a check valve in northern climates. So down here in Florida, we do use a check valve because it makes the job a lot easier for us because we don't have to worry about freezes. But basically the reason we use a check valve, and it is very important that you either use a check valve if you're in a climate that you can do so, or you design your system where you don't need a check valve. And the reason for this is because you do not want the pump to short cycle. Basically what that means is the pump will move the last remaining water out of the basin once the rain event has ended, but it is not enough water to go and exit the discharge line of the sump pump pipe. The water will then travel backwards and come back into the basin, filling that basin back up just enough to set the pump off again by raising the float switch on the pump. The pump will then try to evacuate that water out, and the pump will turn off, and then that water will just do the same thing. It will come right back into the basin and set that pump off again. So it will continue to do this over and over and over again, and that is called short cycling a pump. And basically that will burn a pump out. So you want to prevent that. That's what the check valve does. The check valve makes it so water can only go one way, but it cannot come back. So as you can see, we have our 4-inch SDR inlet plumbed in here. We are finishing up the sump pump discharge line and putting in the pump. The other thing we're going to add to this sump pump discharge line is we're also going to plumb in the pool pump to it. That way the client no longer has to roll out the blue flexible hose to drain the pool. All they have to do is just hit the valve and the water will travel through the sump pump discharge line and into our 4-inch main. Now, as you can see here, we're getting that connection set up. We're going to be plumbing that in with a reducer that's going to go from 4 to 2 and then from 2 to 1.5. And that's going to go into a combination Y that's going to be accepting our downspout drain as well. So as you can see here, we have to couplink this together in order to get this to fit, because there is no way we can bend this in, because PVC is a rigid pipe. There's no bending it like corrugated. So sometimes you have to make connections different ways in order to make it work. And we're going to be using a percolation tee method on this particular install. So we got the fabric underneath the percolation tee, and then we have the stone in there. Now remember, the geotextile fabric acts as a soil separator so that dirt and soil does not migrate back into the stone. So we have this job almost finished up here. We have the downspout plumbed in. The last thing is going to be running the sump pump line all the way out. So I was actually really lucky that I still had this footage. I mean, it's an old install, but it's still cool and it's interesting. So that's why I went ahead and I just edited it together to post it so you can see how we were doing things long time ago compared to how we're doing them now. And basically I lost a lot of footage that I had on an old computer that ended up going bad and it fried up. So I don't have a lot of footage that I wish I still had. But that's okay. I'll gain new footage of new installs. And you can see on this system, we're actually using an old pop-up emitter, the small ones, where this was before we started using anything French Drain Man. And we're using those nice Ryobi tools that everybody loves. So we're going to be installing 2 grates on top of this sump pump lid. That's so it can let the surface water in from that channel drain. And the last thing here is going to be cleaning the job site up, burying everything in, and testing the pump to make sure that it functions properly before we leave. So if you enjoyed this video, give us a thumbs up. It really supports us. It supports the channel. It helps out what we're doing. We're trying to help out clients and homeowners and any DIYers out there that are looking to install their own system. You know, go through our videos, watch as much as you can, do as much research as you can, and learn. That's the best thing you can do before tackling any project, is learn and research as much as you can about that project and pick apart videos and whatever you can get your hands on. So give us a thumbs up. It really supports what we're doing. It helps keep us running here. And if you need exterior drainage work in the Tampa Bay area, whether it's residential or commercial, give us a call at 813-614-3456. We can come out there, we'll assess the situation, and we'll design a system that fits your needs. And until next time, This is SWDS signing off.